Hi, welcome to Heartshares by David Solomon. From my heart to yours, thank you for listening. And I hope that the stories and the thoughts that I've shared from my heart have touched yours as much as it touched mine. Today, I'm going to be doing a little heart share that's a little different. It's my story as a Christian and why I became a writer. And I thought I would share kind of all the miracles that God has done in my life and to what made me who I am now, which is a writer, a Christian, and a fighter. So here we go. I was born in Reno, Nevada, in the year 1992, and my name was Nathaniel Isaac Hahn at the time. When I was 4 years old, um, my dad came back from a war, Vietnam, and he exploded our house. My mom and I died in that explosion. We were presumed dead. Through prayer and miracles, God brought us back. My mom and I both saw angels when we died, and there was a lot of people that experienced visions of you're going to make this big difference in the world. Um, that has actually come to pass. And then from that, we got what's called carbon dioxide poisoning, which didn't kill us, but it made our immune systems go down. So the next year to 2 years, we lived in Klamath Falls, and me and my mom would go through a journey of sickness through carbon dioxide poisoning, where finally we were treated in Troutdale, Virginia with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is where oxygen basically tries to clear out the carbon dioxide in your lungs and in your body and tries to heal. We were there for 6 to 9 months, and for the most part, it healed me and my mom. We're going to fast forward to about 10 years later after that. I lived a pretty normal life, and things were going pretty great. My mom helped run an organization called Hope Equestrian Center for Autistic Children. I got the honor and privilege of being a part of that and seeing it grow and flourish, help and nurture children and parents in every way. And I am so blessed for that. So we're going to fast forward to the age of 13. I was a fan of Smallville and many other shows. And I knew that I saw the world differently from the carbon dioxide. It kind of changed the way that I saw everything. And I was diagnosed at the time with Asperger's syndrome, which is a type of autism. And I saw everything differently. And it's a blessing, honestly. I could drive my piano teacher nuts by playing the notes on a piano in every key to a song that I hear on the radio. Like, you play your favorite song on the radio, I can play it in any key. I don't need music. So I was like, I'll throw the music out. And I was different. I also had food allergies from the carbon dioxide poisoning. So anaphylactic shock with any food I was allergic to. It was not fun being a middle schooler, going to church and, kids, eating what they eat at a youth group, events. But I made do, and my mom, for the most part, cooked my own meals, and it worked. Made fun of a lot, though. I'll tell you that. Um, so I got the pleasure of being around a youth group. I'm not going to say names, but a pastor, a youth pastor, very dear to me. One day he wanted me to drink at his house. And a drink led to me saying no, and it led to him breaking something on my back and assaulting me. And that would lead to some not so nice things in life. That abuse went on for about 3 to 4 years from that youth pastor because small town, knew a lot of people, and you know, uh, yeah, you couldn't really get anywhere. Eventually, we would leave that life behind and we would start over. So we're going to fast forward to the year 2008, uh, when I quit attending that church. Uh, for about 2 years prior to that, every spring I would come down with a virus known as strep and staph. Strep and staph is a virus that attacks the lungs and oxygen, and makes it hard to breathe. So you end up on a ventilator sometimes. So for many times I did end up on a ventilator, and I wasn't expected to live, and God worked his miracles and I lived. 2008 was one of the deadliest episodes I had, and it almost took me out completely. And I was going to be presumed dead. And someone prayed over me, and I agreed in prayer with them, and so did my mom, and I was healed miraculously. We're going to fast forward to 2011. So my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 blood cancer. She was given 2 months to live on Christmas Eve. Not the nicest um, uh, thing you can be given for a Christmas present. Amen. And so what happened was we basically said, what are we going to do? What can we do? Um, my mom contacted some of the best doctors in Oregon at that time, and they were going to start chemo. January 12th um, is a day that changed my life forever as a Christian and as a person. And if you hear me crying, it's because I'm being real with you, not because I'm sad. And I want you to know that. Um, so January 12th, a couple, James and Shiloh, showed up at my doorstep. They were contacted through another man. We're going to call him Brian. And this man I looked up to for a long time. He's an author that I loved, and the reason I became a writer. This couple wanted to take me for lunch because my mom was going through chemo and not given long to live. And I was chloroformed and taken from my home in Oregon City to Seattle and to Canada. I went missing for 2.5 weeks, and basically I was trafficked as a slave. I'm going to fast forward to 2.5 weeks later when I made it back. I was locked in a black cage. My captor was blinded by an angel. When I asked God, God, let me get home. Let me see my mom again. I want to make it out of this. And my faith was tested so much in that moment. My captor saw an angel and it blinded him, and I ran. And I made it back home from Canada to Seattle to Portland to where my mom was receiving chemo that night. Um, that night, my trafficker called the police, and somehow wires got crossed, and 42 police officers ended up chasing me while I was getting to my mom's chemo doctor, where I was beat up and brutally abused by authority, and then I was let go and no apologies. My mom then was really mad that I was trafficked, and the next day, after nursing and going to the doctors, and I had all these bruises and burns and all that. My mom was healed of the terminal blood cancer, non-Hodgkin stage 4, and I would have a long time with her. My trafficker learned that I escaped and caused an almost fatal car accident. Our car flipped about maybe like 9 weeks later. and I would become temporarily paralyzed and blind for almost 2 years. Um, Now, the part that I'm going to share now is the part that I'm going to cry at a little bit, despite everything else being so horrible. Um, Being paralyzed and blind, and at a point where you can't do much, and you have no friends, you have God and your mom, and no one else. That was so hard as a young man to go through. One day, a doctor said I would never see again, I would never walk again, I would never be normal again. So I fell on my knees before God and I said, God, grant me a miracle. I surrender to you. I have this weight on my shoulders and I've been trying to lift this weight on my own, but I'm giving it to you. So God granted me that. And I was healed and I made a full recovery in 9 months. But the day that I made it out of the hospital, there would be a car accident that would hit my car. We'll never know why, but I would end up paralyzed and blind a second time. Frustration reigned in me as a Christian. I cursed God. I'm not afraid to say it. And I was so angry at God, saying, God, I was granted full health, and now I'm back here. What did I do wrong? It would take me 7 months to recover. But this time, it hurt worse because I had been through it before. But this time, I became stronger and faster in all that I did in recovery. And I was determined that if I made it before, I could do it again, but not on my own this time, through God. So I prayed and I surrendered my life. My mom would read me folklore while I was in bed of all these legends. That's why I became a writer of mythology. That's why I founded Mythical Creatures Around the World Facebook. And so what happened from there, I was granted full health. And for the most part, me and my mom left and we started over. But I would suffer a lot of concussion effects from that car accident and the other. There would be several more car accidents I would endure, hit and runs. We started over in Laguna Beach, and we were in this parking lot. We had a house in LA. I was ready to get my career going, amen. And someone flipped our car in a parking lot and then drove off. We were not in the car, but we were injured because I was near the car and I had to jump and hit the ground in order for it to miss. So did my mom. We thought, oh no, another random hit and run. Well, that person that flipped the car said an angel told him to go back and turn himself in. And so he turned himself in. And I would suffer yet another concussion. That concussion would set me back years, and I would not be able to eat normally again. or see normally again or do the things that I could. We left LA for a new life and a good one. We're going to fast forward to we left LA in a rental car because the car was totaled. We were a day late with the car in LA, and that station was furious, and the police were called. By then, we had made it to Virginia to start our life over, and we were not paying attention to it being late. And my mom went to prison that day for grand theft auto 1 day late. The double attacks, right? And I was left without a mom and devastated. Well, God worked a miracle, and one of the police was Christian and said, "Listen, we're gonna settle this a little differently. Um, you know, I'm a Christian. This is a miracle. Go get your son some treatment, and we'll work this out." So my mom's court date was moved because of a snowstorm to work it out. I was in Virginia Beach with my mom. But then Virginia Beach, they lied about the court date being moved, apparently, or so they say. And my mom was arrested and she was, going to go to jail. Again, the magistrate was Christian and said, "This is insane. Get this out." Finally, God worked a miracle and dismissed the case. And my mom was a free woman. And this grand theft auto was laughed at. And to this day, that rental car place is laughed at. And that was miracle number, I lost count. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 4. After we moved to Virginia, we came back to San Francisco to start my career again and actually try to prosecute my trafficker, which ultimately failed. And my mom bled out on me in my arms and was not expected to make it. Her chest exploded. God worked another miracle, and she lived. And I was gifted a mom for a year and a half. And I am so blessed and thankful to this day. I treasured every moment that I had with my mom after that. Not that I didn't, but life is so precious. And my mom beat the cancer and knocked it into remission, an impossible cancer. After a time, that cancer was, it came back because during the pandemic, in order to keep it down and in remission, you're supposed to take a few medicines. Well, the hospital refused, and my mom grew sicker, and pretty soon the cancer actually came back. Ultimately, my mom died in my arms in Panama City, Florida last year. And I had so much heartache, my heart shattered. I cried so many hours of the day begging God, why? Humbly, I was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness after that. And I can't say that it's going to take my life because I don't know the future, but I think with God, I'm going to win this battle. But it's been very humbling as a Christian to never lose my faith when people curse at me. My own ex actually cursed at me and said, "Where's your God now?" and wanted me to lose my faith, and I wouldn't do it. So I stayed faithful to God till the end. And I'm believing God for a miracle even now. Today marks May the 13th, 2021. A few weeks ago, I was given 3 weeks to live, and this would have been the date that would have ended. For different circumstances I can't say yet. And I beat those circumstances. And I said, "God, pave a way, heal me, if it is your will. I surrender to you. I give the weight of my shoulders to you." So I called up about 900 churches nationwide and I had them pray. And here I am talking to you tonight. I'm going to fast forward to the events of last week. One of my wishes, if I was to go, was to right my wrongs right. One of the people responsible for taking me out of the country, the person that I looked up to, I needed to forgive him, but not forget the evil that he did. And it's very important to say that because some people say forgiveness means you go back for seconds. That's not at all what it means. So I went to a homeschool convention where I knew he would be at, shaking. And many of you know the story that have listened to me. I forgave him. I did not forget him. I thought that that moment would be, oh, I forgive. This isn't truly going to happen because I have so much anger. No, that wasn't the case. I felt so much peace. And now, with the situation, I truly forgave him. And I let God take the weight of anger and unforgiveness off my shoulders. One more weight that I was carrying. To anyone listening, if you have a weight on your shoulders, whether it be health, worry, unforgiveness, addiction, don't keep trying to lift the weight on your own. God is right there. He's ready to take the weight off your shoulders. You just have to ask him, and he'll do it. A few nights ago, someone that slandered my name and hurt me, I found out someone I cared for deeply, they had brain cancer, aggressive brain cancer. And they were going to die in a surgery. Someone that I found out, really said some hurtful things. And I'm faced with unforgiveness again. And I said, "God, time to forgive." Okay, let's do it. And I found out that they died, technically, in surgery. And through prayer, me contacting churches that day, that night, and knowing that something went wrong, and me begging on my knees, God, don't let this happen. No matter how unforgiving I feel right now, take this unforgiveness away and heal this person. They are alive now. And that is a miracle that God has granted. The miracle that I wanted to share, the heart share that I wanted to share, is my story of how great our God truly is. We take for granted the small things in life, the little miracles that we have in life. Something I learned when I was paralyzed and blind. Maybe it's shaving your chin in the morning, brushing your teeth, or maybe cooking that meal that you like, turning on the TV once in a while, taking that walk outside, smelling those flowers, watching your favorite show, seeing someone smile. These are the little things in life that we take for granted. It's why I became a writer, because I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I wrote stories to write hope for me. But soon that changed the world. And then I realized that those stories are meant for everyone because they're stories of hope, stories about voices that have been silenced. That's what Mythical Creatures Around the World Facebook is. It's not a pulpit where you preach. It's a platform where you teach. And so I've connected with millions of people that have followed my Facebook or have learned about it, famous people, other people from other countries, sometimes even dignitaries, people high up in governments who are grateful for the restoring of old stories that our forefathers told, stories of hope, stories of warning, stories of sacrifice, and stories of heroism and valor. If God can grant me all these miracles, I think God can do anything for you. So, my heart share is don't underestimate God. He is almighty. He is so powerful. And when we don't bend to Satan and when we follow the instructions of the Bible, you can't go wrong. I've done some rebel things in my life, but I've never turned my back on God, nor would I ever, no matter who tells me to. And my faith is stronger than ever before. We all have our heart shares to share. And I hope I've started something by sharing my story. I hope to learn your story. And I look forward to being blessed by it if you do share. There are books coming out on what I went through during the 2.5 weeks that I went missing. I'll be posting those on Amazon. You're more than welcome to read them, share them. And I'm also going to be posting some Bible study booklets, as well as developing television shows on human trafficking and other things that need to be brought aware to people of all walks of life, not just Christians. I will say that what I've been through has really taught me what it means to be a Christian and to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. I hope that what I've shared has blessed you because it has brought tears of joy to share with you what's on my heart. I look forward to sharing so much more in the coming weeks, years, and if God's will. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to follow Heartshares or Mythical Creatures Around the World Facebook, or even taking a moment to read one of my stories I wrote as a kid on Amazon. And I'll leave you with this. Destiny Halls is a modern interpretation of Samson and Delilah. It's the first Christian superhero series of its kind. And I will post a link for it below. Get your copy and write some reviews. Let me know what you think about it. It's very dear to my heart. And I wanted to fill that gap as a writer. And all the other Christian books I will also leave links to. Any questions or comments, please feel free. If you want to talk to someone, Soldier Boy Writer, WRITER, at gmail.com. You can reach me there. And that's SOLDIER BOYWRITER at gmail.com. Facebook is David Solomon, author, and Mythical Creatures Around the World Facebook. Thank you again for your time. God be with you. God bless you. God keep you. And thank you.